Okay, I don't have 3 people, but I do have 2 people and a skeleton, so let me just flip the camera. Okay, we're just gonna fall over real quick. Okay. Have you ever had worms in your ears? Most people would answer no, followed by an immediate, repulsed look at the mere thought of a wiggling worm inside their heads. Believe it or not, however, most people actually have had worms in their heads in the form of earworms. Earworms are the phenomenon known as stuck song syndrome or sticky songs, or other times referred to as involuntarily musical imaging, called INMI, which is just basically terms to describe the phenomenon that occurs when songs are repeatedly stuck in your head and they won't stop. For as long as I can remember, I've always been someone who listens to music, and as a result of it, and how much I listen to it, I constantly have worms living in my head. Some who overstay their welcome by so many days and bother me during math tests, and other ones who only stay for a short amount of time. But the constant snippets of them constantly in my head have inspired me to research whether or not other people have them and if they're really as annoying as they are for me. After extensive research, it was clear that earworms affect countless people's lives, and there's only really suggestions as to why they show up, but no real actual answers. Ultimately, the common reasons that they seem to occur is as a result of different factors such as background, degree of familiarity with songs, and brain activity, but experiences and feelings vary. When it comes to developing them, a background in music and composition of music holds a high positive correlation with the appearance of earworms in one's head. Individuals who hold music to a high value and interact with music frequently in their day-to-day lives may experience stronger auditory memory and pattern pickup. For starters, when people listen to music, the brain automatically performs tasks that leave them inclined to remember small bits of lyrics. For instance, people are always encouraged to sing catchy sing-along songs when they come about, and catchy songs are often repetitive and people will remember a catchy lyric better. Claire Arthur, in her Science and Music article, Why Do Songs Get Stuck in People's Heads Towards a Theory of Explaining Earworms, she discusses how it was found that songs that tend to be earworms are noted to be more easier to sing and more easy to remember because they're catchy. If someone's interacting with the music bunch and singing along, they may pick up the song as an earworm as a result. Additionally, when people listen to music, the mind automatically chunks pieces together that sound similar, and these similar parts can also often develop as an earworm. It was found in Claire Arthur's Music and Science article, as she discussed, that many times it will be lyrics of the same type. Having exposure to music throughout life and often being around it also naturally inclines the ability of people to pick up earworms. In the article Earworm Stuck Song Syndrome Towards the Natural History of Intrusive Thoughts by Beeman and Williams, a study with music students showed that with their background and constant exposure to music, after a study of being exposed to music for 7 days, nearly all of them experienced high levels of developing earworms, and many were imagining the music and exploring it in their minds. Exposure to music throughout one life allows them to experience various tempos and music genres and allows them to create personal preferences as well. So as you develop these personal preferences, you're more inclined to pick up earworms that are about songs you have familiarity with genres and ones that you like. According to a Journal of American Medical Association article about earworms, this instance would occur with a lot of upbeat songs when people really like the tempo, and so when they heard other upbeat songs, they were more inclined to pick up those as earworms rather than another genre. Earworms may also be inclined just to develop because of the composition of the song, as it maybe invokes a feeling of familiar experiences or triggers another condition, and this is primarily seen in the remembrance of certain songs and the correlation to them. For instance, many people correlate songs with certain feelings, so when you're happy you might enjoy an upbeat song, or when you're sad you might enjoy like a sorrowful song to bring you comfort in dark times. And Sorjima's or Safirma's article published in the Journal of Singing talked about this, in which he describes that when he's feeling sad, he often gets a melancholy feeling and a a song from his youth that reminds him of good times pops into his head and makes him cheer up. Claire Arthur discussed how researchers found songs that are more stressful and arousing have often higher tempos, and they're more likely to become an earworm, so that way when you're listening to these songs or when you're stressed, you're more likely to pick up a fast-tempoed earworm. Other conditions may cause earworms to be more frequent. For instance, OCD increases the rumination of many thoughts and lyrics, so when you have an earworm stuck in your head, you're automatically, involuntarily repeating the lyrics more and more. PTSD flashbacks can even do the same thing. Claire Arthur Music and Science article also discussed this, in which if a song is related to a flashback, you might experience it more. Earworms do not really have a solid explanation as to why they come into people's heads, but there's only suggestions for their existence. However, the varying viewpoints on their existence often is dependent on person to person. So for some people, they really enjoy the presence of earworms, and one of these reasons is because it can transport people back into happier times and elicit positive emotions for them. For example, higher upbeat tempos are considered more pleasant, and one may remember a song from that time and later in the future are reminded of it when they hear that tempo again, and that memory is returned back to them and they feel that sense of nostalgia that they really like. And this was seen in Shojima's Earworm's article, where that same instance occurred for him. Studies done by Flordew, Williamson, and Woolston for their article, Contracting Earworms, showed that positives of earworms allowed them to live happier lifestyles because it elicits better feelings. And earworms also encourage people to try new activities and attempt to either stop or gain them back. According to Lee and Lawson's article, trying to remove them, there's often ways where people will do puzzles or do mind-occupying activities that they normally wouldn't do just to get rid of earworms, and it allows them to enjoy those activities instead. And some people really like earworms, so they try to get them back in their head again, and they will play an instrument or sing or hum a tune. And Sujima's article discusses how even a non-audible instance can also do this, and it makes a person feel better. Other people, however, find earworms to be downright annoying and upsetting. Many people find earworms distract them from their genuine thoughts. Some earworms are known to last for differing amount of times, and people can experience the phenomenon for hours on end. In Lee and Lawson's article, it's noted that some earworms can go on loop for hours at a time and can feel like a continuous, just broken record, and it taunts the person with no definite way of getting rid of them. While a person may attempt to influence what song gets stuck in their head, there's also no definite way of choosing what song gets stuck in someone's head. So people have been stuck with songs in their head that they don't like the meaning to, and they often fear it, and they do not like it being in their head, and it can cause them to be very anxious about it. Pre-existing mental conditions and health conditions can also severely cause distress when combined with persistent earworms. Earworms have been known to show up in musical hallucinations when they get excessive, and socially isolated elderly people often get these, and they can develop immense feelings of fear and distress, and they found that many occur in associations with sounds and hallucinations. People with OCD also can experience them in annoyingly persistent ways, and because of the constant rumination, there's no dampening way of getting repeated excessive earworms, and studies show that there's just even OCD medicine does not dampen the effects, and it just becomes very persistent and annoying in one person's life. But ultimately, earworms are an relatively unstudied subject, but they occur for nearly everyone. What is known, however, is that suggesting factors play a large role in why they persist in someone's mind, and some of these, as mentioned today, include musical background, degree of familiarity, and brain activity. And while they're not always the most pleasant thing, it's a fascinating phenomenon that is still studied by researchers today. As I end this, I encourage you to embrace the wiggly worms in your head that you might be overlooking, because as common as they may be, you're experiencing a phenomenon that is not well understood, and a worm in your ear every now and then is just a reminder of the fascinating species that we are. And thank you for listening, and try not to develop this lovely presentation as an earworm itself.